I really feel bad for Harvey Elliott in this moment in time, and I think this is so disrespectful from Unai Emery. So for those of you that may not have seen, Unai Emery somehow selected an 18-year-old George Hemmings from the academy ahead of Harvey Elliott to make the bench against Leeds. I cannot believe a player of that quality, that ability, is not even on the bench for Villa. I understand Villa are in good form, right? Fair play to especially their current form right now. But how can you bring a player out on loan whose aspirations, by the way, with this loan was to try to make the England World Cup squad? And I know that's a big goal, but that's what he had in mind. That was his mentality going into it. This is not just some young player coming through. This is a man who's already made 150 appearances for Liverpool Football Club at just 22 years old. You know how special of a player you have to be, especially in those Klopp years, to play that often with the talent that was at Liverpool in that moment in time. Not just talent, but mentality, because Klopp would not have given, this many opportunities to a player who didn't have the right mentality. So he has the ability, the mentality, and Unai Emery, by the way, was asked in his press conference why he's not playing more. He said, quote, "Some players need more time. We can speak about Buendia struggling last year. Elliott is working very well. His commitment is fantastic. I'm happy with his work, but it's difficult as other players are performing well." Bro, other players, this 18-year-old George Hemmings has never made a single appearance for the Villa first team. And you're telling me that he's part of other players who are performing well? Nah, that's just disrespectful. And listen, I heard from some Villa fans that apparently this was the ownership that wanted Harvey Elliott and not Unai Emery. You can't put a player's future in jeopardy like that because the ownership doesn't even talk with the manager. Like, that makes zero sense to me, And if there's any Villa fans in the building, let me know how you feel about the way Harvey Elliott's getting treated, because some are saying, oh, it's due to financial reasons that he's not playing, because if he makes 10 appearances in all competitions, his 35 million buyout will be triggered. And some are saying that due to PSR reasons, Villa are waiting till the new year so that it's to balance their books for that fee to be triggered so that it's in the 2026 books rather than 2025. I'm not buying that. I'm sorry. The reason I'm not buying that is there's no way Harvey Elliott would have gone on loan at Villa had he known that for the first 6 months, the first half of the season, that he wouldn't play at all. There's no way, because he literally went to Villa for playing time. If he had stayed at Liverpool this season, he would have played more than he currently is at Villa. And if you're telling me, but Harvey didn't know about that clause, he didn't know that Villa wouldn't play him, bro, that's broken trust. If that's the case, that's almost worse in my opinion, because if that's the case, then, and I'm from the Harvey Elliott point of view, I've gone to Villa on loan, and behind the scenes, their plan all along was to wait till the new year to start playing me because they wanted that 35 million buyout to be triggered in 2026. Then, bro, I'm leaving first thing in January because that's the trust broken. Because like I said, the reason he would have gone to Villa was for playing time. So it's just a really sad situation. And my question for all the Liverpool fans in the building is, would you bring him back in January to Liverpool? Would you take him back? Because I know I would. And not necessarily because we need a player in his position. More so, I think what this team is missing right now are fighters. Players who will go into 50-50 challenges and give it absolutely everything. And what I loved about Harvey is, yes, he's more of a creative player, but he's going to give you absolutely everything every moment he's on that pitch for you. And what I mean by that is pressing, tackles, like I said, the 50-50 challenges. That's what this team is missing right now. Anger when you lose because of how much it means to play for Liverpool Football Club. Harvey Elliott has that in him. He's a boyhood Red. You could tell every time he played for the club how much it meant to him. So yeah, I think we're missing characters like that. Whether he'll get a lot of playing time under Slot or not, I don't know. But we're missing fighters, and he definitely is a fighter. So I personally would take him back. I don't know exactly how the deal works, whether it's possible to recall him or not. But you best believe that Harvey Elliott will be fuming right now about his situation. Because like I said, his aspirations for this loan was to eventually get into the England squad. Obviously, the opposite is happening. The opposite. Because like I said, had he stayed at Liverpool, he would have had more playing time than he is now. Like, it's so sad to see, because I think Harvey is one of them players that every Liverpool fan loves, because like I said, from the moment he arrived, He's somebody who's always had the right attitude. And like I said, if you've made 150 appearances for Liverpool Football Club in a moment when we were very, very good, it shows you're a special talent. This is not like, and this is not to disrespect James McConnell, but for example, I could be making a video right now about James McConnell not getting minutes at Ajax, right? Because he's a top talent too. I agree on that. But for me, that it's very different, the two. James McConnell has a fantastic future ahead of him, just like Tyler Morin, for example. But Harvey Elliott, for me, had he gone to a Villa and played week in, week out, he could have been with a shout of being in the England squad like Morgan Rogers will be. And I agree there's competition for places at Villa. But the problem for me is it seems like Unai Emery's not even giving him a chance. That's the difference for me. He's not been given a chance. And if Unai Emery is saying, oh, but there's too many players fighting for that position, like a Morgan Rogers, like a Buendia, these are players who have a similar kind of role within the team as Harvey, then don't bring him in. Do not bring him in. You know what I'm saying? So let me know if you're as frustrated as I am for Harvey, because I absolutely want the best for Harvey Elliott, and I think it's a disgrace the way that it's been handled for him, and now I'm curious to see what's going to happen in January, because like I told you, I don't think if it's related to this financial reason about the triggering of the £35 million clause, then for me, the trust has been broken. It really has, if that's the case. Do you get what I'm saying? Because then it's like the plan all along was to not play him. So I personally don't see it. And imagine what this does too for his rhythm. Like, it's so difficult to not play for that amount of time. You lose match fitness. There's a lot that you lose when you don't play at all. You know what I mean? And it takes time to get back to the levels, especially in the Premier League, where it's so fast moving and the intensity is so high. So it's really definitely a difficult moment for him behind the scenes right now, I can imagine. But yeah, I'm curious to see now whether he'll come back. Let me know if you would take him back, if he would play. My only concern is it seems like there's some players that Slot doesn't trust that much, but even as a squad option, look at the amount of times last season he would come off the bench and really make an impact, as a super sub. Obviously, he would want to be starting in a team, but I know off the bench he'd really bring that spark that we need. He'd bring something. He'd do more than just not even being part of the squad, which is what's happening at Villa right now, shockingly enough. It's just, it's hard to believe. But let me know if you think that we're missing those type of characters. I would say someone like a Luis Diaz and a Darwin Núñez. I'm not the type to say it was a big mistake to have sold them, because in my opinion, it's so easy to look in hindsight, and almost everyone wanted us to get a new striker this summer and knew that Darwin's time was up. So I'm not going to be one of those people that say, oh, we shouldn't have sold him, it was a mistake, because hindsight is too easy. We have to look at the reality of what we were feeling in the summer, and it was the same thing with Luis Diaz. People are now saying, oh, it was a huge mistake to sell him. No, you have to look at the reality. The reality is top clubs were looking at him. He wanted a new contract, and I don't think we were willing to offer him that new contract. And that new contract would have been around the 300,000 a week, and he would have wanted a 3 to 4 year deal, which I don't think our board, Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, whoever was making those decisions, would have said yes to that. And I don't think most Liverpool fans would have said yes to that in the summer. I'm just saying. Whereas I see so many Liverpool fans now saying, oh, it was a mistake to let him go. But look at the reality. It's so easy to say in hindsight this or in hindsight that. We had to make a decision in the summer. And Bayern Munich did offer him a big contract. And they offered him, I think it was 4 years. So, you know what I mean? We weren't willing to do that. So I'm not going to say like it was a mistake. Here's what I think this team is missing, though. The likes of Luis Diaz, the likes of Darwin, the likes of Harvey Elliott, the mentality. The mentality to bring out that anger on the pitch. Sometimes I feel like in recent weeks where it's not been okay to lose, it kind of feels like they're passengers on the pitch, and that cannot happen. There needs to be a level of anger that we need to see, because it's never okay. And they know it's not okay to lose football matches. But I mean, that kind of fighter's mentality is something we need in this team right now. And again, I'm not going to be saying in hindsight we shouldn't have sold them, because I actually look at the reality. You know what I mean? I look at the reality, and I don't think it's realistic to say, oh, it was a mistake to sell them, because again, that wasn't my opinion in the summer. However, I think we need that mentality in our team right now. And like I said, Harvey Elliott, for me, absolutely has that mentality. And we'll have to see what happens in January. But it's a sad situation for him. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think's gonna end up happening with Harvey Elliott, and if you would take him back at Liverpool Football Club. Thank you as always for supporting the channel, watching. I'll see you in the next one. All the best, guys. Have a beautiful week.